We are live. We are live now. Okay. Hello and welcome to the Knees for Life Inner Circle. My name is Bill Paravano, the knee pain guru, and today we're going to get you some answers for osteoarthritis. I was doing a little bit of research the other day, and I found it fascinating. I was on a Center for Disease Control website, the CDC, and it was estimating that 27 million Americans suffer from osteoarthritis. Like 27 million Americans. That number astounded me. And then 1 to 2 may develop symptoms of knee osteoarthritis in their lifetime. And that was even more fascinating for me because it was like, if my knee doesn't hurt, it means yours does. I was just crazy. That was just absolutely crazy. And the interesting piece about osteoarthritis is that it's the beginning stages of slippery slope to a knee replacement surgery. So we're going to get into deeper in osteoarthritis, what it is, what causes it, and we're going to cover three things today. So today you're going to learn what to do once you receive a diagnosis of osteoarthritis. A lot of people, they get it, it's like a death sentence. What do you do? What you can do immediately when your knee feels painful and stiff. And that's real important, is when knowledge is power. When you have the information, you can begin to act upon it. And I want to give you some really solid tools today to begin to help you with when your knees get painful and stiff. And the third is how to create the conditions in your body to begin healing your painful, stiff knees. Because it's not only about doing something. It's not like a one-trick pony. Your knees are painful and stiff, and you do something, and now they're out of pain. We want to look for the long term. What can we do to begin to set up the entire conditions that are going on in your body that are creating the knees? Because we want to make sure that we don't end up in the same place as we were before when we got the knees out of pain. So we're going to go over that here in just a minute. For those members of my virtual clinic and those watching, or actually members of my Knees for Life Inner Circle, if you have questions, begin typing those in now, because I'll be answering those later on in the call. After we get in deeper on osteoarthritis, we're going to cover whatever questions you have. You may have a specific situation with osteoarthritis that you're struggling with. You know, sometimes having knee pain, you feel very isolated and alone because no one really gets you, no one really understands. Anyone with knee pain can attest to that. I experienced it for myself, that you feel isolated and alone. You don't fit in anywhere. You don't fit in with other people because they don't really get. There's nothing appearing physically wrong with you, yet you go to step and it's like, oh, it just bothers you and you're always thinking about it. You're waking up at night. You're concerned about what you can do and what you can't do. You plan your day based on how your knees feel. Well, if you're listening to this, you want to take the steps to live your life differently. You want to improve the quality of your life, so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to give you some action steps to take so you don't feel helpless and depressed and frustrated and stuck that everyone's telling you, well, you're just on a slippery slope to a knee replacement surgery. That you're just in a holding pattern until you're old enough for them to cut off the bones in your leg and replace it with plastic and metal. Well, perfect. We're going to get started here now. So let's cover that first topic. What to do once you receive the diagnosis that you have osteoarthritis. And it's probably one of the most difficult things to wrap your brain around is what to do. You're sitting there in a doctor's office, a professional's office. They got letters after their name, and they just told you you have this disease, this condition in your body that there's not a whole lot you can do. You can exercise, you can probably take some prescription drugs, we'll do some cortisone shots or something to like reduce the pain. There's really not a whole lot you can do as far as reversing the process of osteoarthritis. And before this channel, there really wasn't a whole lot you could do. You can go to physical therapy. They say strengthen the muscles in the legs, and well, that really doesn't seem to be working if 27 million Americans are running around with pain in their knees, pain and stiff knees. Something isn't right. Something's not working. Something they're not getting. So it really doesn't matter how many letters they have after their name, they're missing something. And that's an important point to understand, that a diagnosis of what's going on in your knee is just an educated guess based on their experience. And their experience pretty much exists within a box. And your knee has to fit inside that box in order for the problem to exist. If your problem doesn't exist within that box, they don't know how to help you. And this is key, very important. So you have to fit in their box, and you begin to fit in their box with stating a diagnosis. Then that covers liability on their part. If a lot of times doctors don't know why your knee's hurt. There's nothing broken or torn in the knee, and you still have pain. So it's like nondescript. And this is the area that we're working in, is understanding how the nervous system works. So the first thing you do once you get the diagnosis is realize it's just one perspective. That's just a perspective on what's going on in your knee. And that is just one avenue to take on how you can heal what's going on in your knee. So a lot of people think it's like, oh, they're on a railroad track and I got to go down this path. Really, you have many paths. You have a 360-degree, though that's the number of options you have. You can go in any direction to get help and support for your knees. And that's the goal of the Knees for Life Inner Circle, is to have that option for you. Have that support, so now you know what to do. So the very first thing once you get that diagnosis is realize that's just one perspective. That's just one opinion. And we can go and get other perspectives from professionals that may or may not have letters after their name. So that's very important to keep in mind. The next piece we're going to look at is what you can do immediately when your knees feel painful and stiff. When your knees feel painful and stiff, it's important to zoom out and get a bird's eye view of exactly what's going on in your knees. That there's a tension pattern going on in your knee that's causing irritation of nerves. The body has a normal response when it experiences pain, when it experiences stress, when it experiences fatigue. And that is to tense up to protect itself. Natural response. Happens every day, multiple times per day. And depending on where the tension is in your body, where it's sitting, where the tension is sitting, the pressure will go into the knees and cause the knees to hurt. You can think of the knees as the weakest link in the series of tension from the head to the feet. And by understanding that if we just look at the knees, we're looking at a very, very small perspective of the entire scope of what's going on in the body. And just this understanding that there's tension in your neck and your shoulders and your hips and your lower back, your ankles and your feet, as well as your knees. gives us what we can begin doing to address the pain and stiffness in the knees. The first thing you can do when I'm working with clients is we go back to the basics. What's the fundamentals that we're looking at? And make sure, have you been drinking plenty of water? Knees painful and stiff because you haven't been drinking enough water. So the first thing you can do is go drink a big glass of water. Many times chronic dehydration leads to pain and stiffness in the joints. This water also sets up the conditions for your body to heal down the road as well. There's other things we can do. Water is like a really fast and easy way to begin to address the pain and stiffness in the knees. 3 other things you can do are stretches. You can stretch your calves, your quads, and your hamstrings. There's 3 real simple, easy stretches you can do. Many times when I'm filling up, my car gets low on gas, I go to the gas station. They have those big concrete pylons. I stand there while I'm waiting for my car to fill, and I'll stretch my calves out. Just stand with my foot right up against the concrete piling, stretch my calf. Kind of put it at a 45-degree angle to the pylon, or the piling, and then lean forward. And it stretches out the calf really well. And depending on how tight my legs are, I'll even feel it up to my knee as well as in my hamstring. The next thing is I could lean right on that piling and grab my ankle and lean forward. So I'm stretching out my quad. And you do each of these for a couple of minutes on both legs, as well as stretch your hamstrings. So you can use the piling for support and then lean forward. So you're stretching out your hamstrings as well. And you'd be amazed at how different your knees will feel. And the reason why your knees feel that way is because we walk generally on a flat surface. All of the surfaces we walk on, grass, even stones or concrete or asphalt, it's all on a pretty level playing field. We may walk up or walk down. I was actually talking with one of my clients, Marie, this week, and she was, saying, Bill, I live in San Francisco, so I'm walking up and down hills all the time. So it's not even. And I said, yes, you're right. However, that surface is flat. And every time we take a step, we entrain this level playing field into our body. And our body ends up holding tension patterns as a result of this, it's not changing. We're not changing height. We're not jumping over logs. We're not stepping on rocks that are uneven. It's pretty flat for the most part. And what ends up happening is it leaves these tension patterns in the feet, the ankles, the knees, the hips, and the lower back that creates this pattern that's going on in the knees that causes the pain. So we begin to change these patterns up, stretching the calves, stretching the hamstrings, stretching the quads, and the tension in the knees begin to shift because you're changing the tension in the legs from the feet all the way up to the lower back. So that's the second point we're going to cover. The third one we're going to look at is how to create the conditions in your body to begin healing your painful stiff knees. And we began talking about it as far as drinking more water, but also the food that we eat. There was one of my clients this week that I was working with, Dudley. I have my clients send me, give me 3 days worth of food so I get an idea of what you're eating. Because many times the foods that we eat create the conditions in our body that make the knees stiff. And I was noticing he was eating, you know, bread, crackers, rolls, croutons or on salad and things like that. Many times that these foods that seem very innocuous, that are not that big of a deal, contain a substance called gluten. And many people have gluten sensitivities. There's a wide range of reasons why we have these sensitivities, primarily because it's in a good portion of what we eat. What ends up happening is it creates intestinal distress. It creates gut distress. And the joints will ache as a result of these foods that we're eating. So the first thing we're going to do, and Dudley's a big tennis player, so we're getting him gradually. Like I'm real big on, I want you to do gradual changes to make sure they're lasting changes. We don't want to throw a whole bunch at the body real quick, and then a couple weeks, a month, 2 months down the road, you can't keep it up because you don't have the support system around you. You don't have the gravity of the habit that you've created that's going to carry you through the difficult times, because difficult times will happen. So we want to look at water, we want to look at nutrition, we want to look at breathing. We want to look at relaxing the tension in the body through the breath. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. And a lot of this, when we set up these conditions, it gives the body the tools it needs, the resources it needs to heal itself. So that would be 3 things that we can do once we're diagnosed with osteoarthritis, how we can begin handling this. First thing is, you want to know that once you get the diagnosis, that it's just a professional opinion. It's just one doctor's professional opinion, and that we want to keep that in perspective. There's lots of information out there. There's lots of alternatives out there that are natural and holistic that can support you in the process of healing what's going on in your knees. What you can do immediately when your knees feel painful and stiff, drink a big glass of water and start stretching your calves, your quads, and your hamstrings. Find places in your life where you can begin stretching like this. I used when I'm waiting for my car to get filled up with gas. Perfect example. You can invent and look for places in your own life where you can stretch. And if you do, please give suggestions in the video below, or in the description section or the comment section below the video, on how you have stretched out and places you've utilized to be able to stretch out. Sitting in front of watching a TV at home or a movie is another great place. And then how to create the conditions in your body to begin healing your pain-filled stiff knees. And that, of course, is plenty of water. You want to begin reducing the gluten in your diet. That's going to make a big deal, as well as focus on your breathing. See how you're holding your breath and how you can begin using the breath to reduce the pain in your body. So those are 3 perspectives for dealing with the pain and stiffness from osteoarthritis in your knees. Okay, Neil, how are we doing on time?
We're good, Bill, and I know that you were kind of under the weather in the last few days, and we really appreciate you showing up and being here for the Inner Circle members to take care of their questions.
Oh yeah, I had a call with Karen yesterday, and she scheduled the time to speak with me, and I just got on the call enough with her yesterday to tell her that I wasn't going to be able to really be on the call. I wasn't feeling well at all.
Do you want to jump into some questions that we have?
Sure. Is Lauren? Did Lauren show up yet?
We haven't gotten Lauren on the call just yet. Hopefully we can get him on.
Okay, because I know I spoke with him and said we would have him where I'd work with him one-on-one. So I want to make sure we do that today.
Yeah, absolutely. I've sent him another message to try to inspire him to get on if there's any issues, and reach out to him.
Yeah, and I'd encourage people that are watching that aren't members of the Knees for Life Inner Circle, get involved. Sign up. It's really great stuff. We talk about all different types of angles of looking at how the people have challenges with their knees, and sometimes your specific knee situation is unique and special, where you can get that kind of support from myself as well as other members of the Knees for Life Inner Circle. We have a Facebook page, we have these Google Hangouts twice a month, and you have access to the virtual clinic, which is the past 6 years worth of videos that I've created for clients, which when I'll work with Lauren one-on-one today, that I would point him to specific modules in the virtual clinic where I would be able to, I'll be referencing, and that's what I'm talking about. It's all for access for those members of the Knees for Life Inner Circle.
Yeah, and maybe just if you could stress to the present members how important it is to get that support in the Facebook group and on the Hangouts.
Yeah, post questions. Ask for help, reach out. You get what you deserve. So if you feel you deserve to get answers and support, then you will. And if you don't step up and ask them, well, you won't get any support. So it just makes sense to do so, unless you like limping around.
Great. Let's hop into some questions.
Cool. What you got?
Okay, so Candace, she has a question. She said, I had a direct knee fall on a concert tile floor a little over a month ago. I just went to the doctor, and x-ray showed a fracture, and the MRI didn't show anything torn. It really stings and is getting stiff. The doctor didn't do anything for me but tell me to rest. What is the next step? I go back to the doctor in a week, but with the MRI not showing anything, I'm afraid he won't be able to do anything to help me. Please tell me I'm not crazy, but my body is telling me that there is something more than the fracture going on.
Well, I don't know if I could tell her if she's not crazy or not, because I think we're all a little crazy to some degree. But there's a piece that the medical model merges something that's broken or torn with the pain that we feel. So it's kind of like this overlap of what's happening. And we'll have the physical part that will heal, but we still have the pain. And this is, Candace, what you're experiencing is there's not, just because there's pain doesn't mean there's anything wrong in the sense of being broken or torn. And that's where I think a lot of people get confused with knee pain and how they end up down this road of prescription drugs, pain-killing shots, or surgery, and then spiraling into worse situations as a result of going down that path. We know that the fracture is there, and the fracture has already begun to heal. That's like a foregone conclusion. However, the pain that's there is a result of affecting your nervous system, this electrical system that you can't necessarily see, yet it affects our mind, our body, and our emotions, this nervous system, this electrical system. And that's the part where we need to address. We need to create comfort in the knee. We need to create comfort in the body, And that begins to allow the knee, one, to start feeling better, and then that also optimizes the body's ability to heal what's going on. So we begin to make comfort the new reality in what's going on in your knee. Now, you have a certain trauma from falling on the concrete floor or whatever it was, and so we need to address that. We need to address that impact, and like with clients, I would suggest working with Tramiel, both topically and sublingually, where you would work with that to address the swelling, the inflammation, the pain in the knee, as long as it wasn't opened. And then what I would look at is creating comfort. And the two programs that I have specifically is the Comfort Zone. That is a specific book. There's 11 stretches. And begin working with that to see how that changes what's going on with the knee.
That's great advice, and we'll put a link for more information on Tramiel in the description of this video after we're done being live.
Yeah, that's actually what we should do, Neil, is put Dr. Frank Charles's data in there instead of just Tramiel, because Tramiel, actually there was a lawsuit with the company. They're a European company, and somebody was a little up in arms in North America about Tramiel making certain health claims, and Tramiel threw their arms up and just pulled all of their supplies from the North American market. So I don't know if that would be the best, the highest leverage for people to access. But if we put that PDF of Dr. Frank Charles's, where it's all of the different, Dr. Charles is a friend of mine out of Greenville, South Carolina, naturopath, just amazingly smart man that understands supplementation and how the body can heal itself from a science or a chemistry background, as far as supplements and herbs and gels and creams. So he has what he's done is he's put it together for specific situations, like osteoarthritis, like bone on bone, like swelling and inflammation from an arthroscopic surgery or meniscal tear or whatever it is. So we'll put that in the show notes, a link to download that PDF.
All right, that sounds great. So we have one from Pitar. I am 16 years old. I was a footballer before about 2 years, but I got a knee cartilage injury, and I had an arthroscopy on the right knee before, and that was about 3 months ago. After that, I got 3 injections in the knee and feel much better, but I don't know why I am still having swelling in the knee. I feel pain when I make a step with about 160 degrees. When I make a full flexion, I feel a bit of pain, popping sounds, and when I stretch it forward, also hear popping sounds. After doing exercises, I feel my knee, the knee feels like that other one, very normal. Also, my doctor gave me glucosamine sulfate gel and powder, and he said that I can start running with a brace, but I'm worried because it is still swollen and I still feel pain in some situations. So he's just looking for counsel on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's 16, so they definitely have to check with his parents first. The big piece with that, generally when there's swelling in the knee, the tension patterns in the bones in the upper leg and the lower leg aren't quite lined up, and the body's ability to drain the lymphatic system is directly related to the relationship of the bones. That the lymphatic system is like the garbage system. What it drains and cleans out all the dead cells, and when we have injuries, and just the natural regeneration of the body. Uses the lymphatic system to clean it out. And when we have these relationship with the bones aren't quite right, what ends up happening is there's swelling. And it becomes chronic swelling, not just acute swelling because of an impact injury like the last question I answered. This is more of a chronic situation where it lasts for months or even years. And by finding comfort, we release those patterns that are going on in the knee, in the leg, and allows the body to clean itself out. The same goes as you do that and you set up the conditions so the swelling could begin going down. You also have the conditions for the body to clean itself out and the body to get out of pain too. Because if the body's comfortable or the knee's comfortable, it can't hurt. It's kind of like a gimme. And that's something that what I see conventional approaches to addressing knee pain miss, is that they don't talk about the fact that comfort will actually get you out of pain.
Great. And, I know we talked about 2 of your 5 pillars, actually 3 of them now, hydration, nutrition, and supplements. I'd just really like for you to take the time to talk about breathing and sleep, as important as they are.
Well, I mean, we talked about breathing before in the last point, setting up the conditions, water, nutrition, and breathing. Breathing is the only way we can directly access our nervous system, the tension in our nervous system, where we can control the tension in our nervous system by breathing or not, by holding our breath or not. And by having a smooth flow of air in through your nose and out through your mouth, you begin to relax the tension in your body, relax the tension in the nervous system. And as far as sleep, all of these conditions are there to optimize the body's ability to get a good night's rest. Because when your body gets a good night's rest, it can recover. So it's not complicated things that I'm talking about. These are real simple, straightforward things, yet because we have so much knowledge and technology out there, many times our mind gets in the way, and all of these different perspectives of people get in the way, and it keeps us stuck. It keeps us stuck in a place of pain, tension, discomfort. More pain, more tension, discomfort. And by slowing that process down and going back to the basics. That's the difference between an amateur and a professional. A professional is going to look at the small details and maximize those small details. And an amateur is going to look for the latest, greatest, next flash in the pan in order to get them out of knee pain, to keep them from doing the fundamentals that really work.
Okay, so we have a question from Eric. 5 years ago, I shattered my entire leg. Today, I still have all the metal, including a metal brace inside the knee. I have limited flexibility in the knee. Starting 1.5 years ago, my leg began to go numb. It takes only 5 to 15 minutes of walking before the numbness begins. Here's the thing. The first symptom is my knee begins to feel like one big stretched tendon. Soon after, the foot feels the same way. Following this is numbness, which can be remedied only by sitting. Do you think the metal has anything to do with this issue?
I don't think the metalness is. Of course, it's in the pattern. The metal is in the pattern, but I don't think the metal is causing the issue. I think the tension in your body, as a result of the experience, is causing the issue. So, working with the videos in the virtual clinic, or the Say No to Knee Replacement program, or being a member of the Inner Circle, or working with me one-on-one, something like that can begin to address those patterns. So you have tools, and now when you're walking, you can stop for a couple of minutes, begin to work with those patterns and relax the tension patterns, So when you get up and you walk again, you can continue walking. Eric, one of my clients out of British Columbia, that was one of the things he did. We were working with specific stretches that he could use when he goes to work, when he's standing, when he's having the issue walking. And that's what it's about. It's not about stopping your life and resting and waiting and hoping and wishing that when you get your butt off the couch after 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, when you're doing rice therapy with your foot or your knee in ice and your knee elevated above your heart, that's just good for maybe a day or so. You got to go back and live your life, and you got to have useful tools that actually make a difference, and not like make a difference in a couple of weeks, like make a difference today. And that's the big thing that a lot of approaches don't look at. It's like, oh, we'll do this physical therapy for 6 weeks and hope it changes. Well, that doesn't cut it in my book. That's not my reality. I want to do something today that's going to make a difference today, that I'm going to see changes today. So, with that being said, it goes back to the tension patterns that are going on in the knee. When you get your leg crushed, that's a huge trauma. That's a huge traumatic experience. So the body is tensing up from having that experience. And we need to begin to set up the conditions so the body can begin to kick off that trauma, and so it can heal itself. So that's what I'm looking at.
All right. Good advice for Eric. Do you want to just talk for a second, Bill, about how people that are looking at this broadcast that aren't part of the inner circle and don't have any of your program, how they can start out working with you or just get a feel for what's going on?
Well, they can go to thekneepainguru.com. They can sign up for the free report. I have a free report out there, the four points for knee comfort, and receive that, begin working with that, and right after they can sign up where they can receive the Comfort Zone, a book, one of my books, Knees for Life, another one of my books, which are both phenomenal, one for actually giving you action steps to get your knee out of pain, and the other one is like an overview, 30,000-foot view of my program. And they could also, when they get those 2 books, they could sign up for a time to chat with me. And we get on a call where we sit down and we figure out strategy. Like, what do you have going on with your knee? What is the best approach for you? And it may not be working with me. It may not be one of my programs. If there's something broken or torn, then we got to point you in a different direction. And I'm not going to BS you. I'm going to be straight with you. I don't have time to try to sell you something you don't need. I'm only going to do what, from my past 15 years of experience, is going to be best for you. And that's what's most important. I want people to get results. I want people to improve. I want people to enjoy their lives. I want people to think about what we're doing here as a movement. So that's what they could do. You can go to kneepainguru.com. All that information is right there. You could sign up for a time to talk with me, fill out a short application, and we're talking in a couple of days, figuring out the best way to get you, the best and fastest way to get you out of knee pain. Neil, what I want to do is I have some notes from what I took with Lauren.
Okay.
And being that he's not on the call, and I want to get him some support. He's a basketball referee, and he's got to wear one of those Donjoy knee braces. And if you're not familiar with the Donjoy knee brace, it's like this huge titanium, kind of looks like a Terminator kind of thing that's wrapped around your knee. And when I was in judo, that pretty much, for me, coming into anything was like any sort of throw didn't happen because I was like wielding an axe take off somebody's head when I was playing judo. So what I want to do is, being that Lauren is not here, I want to give him some of the, get into the virtual clinic, give him the specific stretches based on our conversation the other day. So the first thing I'd have him do is make sure he's using a Tramiel, or he could use that guidebook or the PDF that we're going to have in the description section of this video. Get that over to him, and look at for pain, specifically for pain, what Dr. Charles is recommending for pain. At this point where you're at, Lauren, what I would do is just stick with the passive stretches, at least for the first week, and see how that begins to change. He has issues going up and down steps. He favors his leg going up steps specifically. So I would go into the stretching lounge, log into the virtual clinic, go into the stretching lounge, the passive stretching section. I'd watch the intro to passive stretching. I do. One of the other things he said is he has real tight calves, Achilles tendon, and hamstrings are really tight. So with that, I would do module 23 and module 20 at the same time. And that's going to help with the calves and the hamstrings. Module 20 and 23. For the Achilles tendon, and this is, for those that are watching, this is one of the things that I do when I work with clients one-on-one. We work way more than just in the knee. We're looking at the entire structure, because I have, like I said, 6 years worth of videos in here. So for the tight Achilles, I do modules 18 and 19. And then for the tightness in the patella, I'm going to have him do module 8. And me standing and walking. Yeah, so once again, to recap those, I would do modules, watch the intro video, modules 1 and 2, and that's going to be for going up and down the steps. Modules 20 and 23 for the tight hamstrings. Modules 18 and 19 for the Achilles tendon issue. And module 8 for the tightness in the patella. And then based on that, you can leave questions or whatever in the Facebook page, the private Facebook page that we have, and we can address how that shifts and changes based on what we do here. What you got, Neil?
Well, I'm glad we were able to get Lauren set up. It's a shame we couldn't get him on the call. But I feel like the questions are pretty much stopped rolling in. And again, I just want to encourage the Inner Circle members to keep the questions rolling when we have these live events. And Bill, if you want to just kind of close us out and give us some last-minute words of wisdom.
Well, actually, there's one more thing I want to do, and this is around mindset and in understanding that in order to get out of knee pain, we got to be really present to what's going on. Because we can't live in the past. We can't live in the future. We can only be very present with what's going on with the knee. And I just want to show, this is a text that I got earlier today with one of my coaching clients. I'm not going to say who it is, but I just want you to listen to the terminology and how valuable it is to understand the terminology of how we can utilize that as an insight into how we're not present with the pain that we're experiencing. So I got this text. This came in 10 o'clock, so this is just a few hours old. It says, "Hi, Bill, I'm stuck. I just did all the stretches you suggested, extension, rotation, knee slide, and meniscus. No change at all." The very next sentence, she says, "The same stretches helped yesterday." But there was no change at all the sentence before. So this is really important. "The same stretches helped yesterday, but not today. The pain is outside below the knee, just below the top of the fibula. There is also a burning spot on the inside below the knee. The meniscus stretch didn't make any difference." But I just want to point out that when the pain hits, we get stuck in nothing works, nothing's changing, it's all the same. And that's what our mind is designed to do. It looks at an issue as black or white. We got to look at the shades of gray. The 50 shades of gray of knee pain, right? You know, there's that place where we need to look at the little nuances, the distinctions that are going on when we're trying to get the knee out of pain. Otherwise, we're going to fall into the rut of it either hurts or it doesn't hurt. And if it hurts, then we're just going to focus on that pain. So with that being said, that's the most highest leverage thing we can work on is our mindset. So when we started out as far as addressing osteoarthritis, when you get that diagnosis, the most valuable thing we can do is begin to shift our mindset and realize that there's just one perspective and the entire spectrum of support we can get around our knees. And I just really like to emphasize to everyone listening on the call that it's an uphill battle. There's a lot out there that's telling you different than what I'm saying here. And a lot of times it seems very unbelievable what I'm saying, that, oh, well, we just get the mindset right. We set up the conditions so the body can heal itself and create comfort and the body gets out of pain. I know. It's hard for me to believe it myself, but it does. We don't have to get complicated about this. We just need to do what works. And this works. It makes sense. It's logical. You don't need to go to a decade's worth of school to figure this stuff out. You could learn it in an afternoon and get results that day. That simple. So the big question is, are you up for the challenge? Are you up for making a difference in your life, improving the quality of your life? Because if you are, you're in the right place. Well, let's wrap that up for today.
All right. Thank you, Bill. We appreciate your work.
Thank you, Neil. And what's the next one is, what's the date on it?
The date is going to be, let's see,
13th of November, Thursday,
Yep.
p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Perfect.
All right.
Thank you, Neil. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. And we'll talk to you next time.
Bye, everyone.